Welcome to On the Money right here on WDBO. My name is Josh Barber. Today, joined by the great people of Certified Financial Group, the people who are planning your financial future, making your tomorrow just a little bit better than your today. Joining us today, we have Chris Toadvine and Aaron Bert. Oh, sorry, no, not Aaron.
Yep, that's me. You got it right? Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
You got it.
You got it.
We'll get through this,
Josh. You're on a roll, bud.
It's all good. Certified Financial Planners with the Certified Financial Group. And you know by now that for 30 years, the professionals here at Certified Financial Group have been answering your questions every week on WDBO on Saturdays. They have been certified financial planners in the Central Florida area.
Great.
Good.
Doing good.
Good. You're up and at 'em this morning. Happy Labor Day
I
weekend.
really am.
Yeah.
Well, I'm having a little Labor Day party here in a while, but I always listen to you all on Saturday morning.
Well, thank you for listening.
We appreciate that. What can we do for you today?
Yeah, so I kind of have a Social Security related question. I was early retired by my former employee last year at 63, so I'm actually 64 this year. And I don't have any earned income because I'm not going to be working anymore. I didn't work at all this year in 2025, and I'm not going to be working going forward. But a friend told me that I needed to go into my Social Security account and somehow state or put in there that I'm retired and I'm not having any more earned income from 2025 going forward. I have not started taking Social Security, and I don't really plan to until 67 or 70.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, do you need to go into your Social Security account and let them know? Aaron, you can chip in here, but sure. I don't think so, Jerry. I've never heard of that. The only time that I have seen that being an issue is for someone who is trying to get an accurate estimate of what their benefit's going to be, and they don't want to wait the year because, look, the IRS is going to know when no wages are reported for you that you're not working, and so they're going to put a big donut in that year for you, and then that will change your benefit estimate. So, but for those overachievers who want to know now, and there's a good reason to do that from a planning standpoint. Sometimes people will log in and they can put in a zero and see how that would change their benefit, because it will. Because correct me if I'm wrong, Aaron, but I believe the calculation assumes that you're going to continue to earn at what was reported last year through your full retirement age, and that's how they come up with the benefit estimate. So, you may want to do it if you're curious how it would change your benefit going forward, but you don't have to.
The only other thing that I can think of is if you were a high earner previously, your recorded earnings does impact your Medicare benefits if you're subject to what they call the IRMA, which is the adjustment on your Medicare Part B premiums. And so what they'd look at is 2 years. So once you turn 65, they look back 2 tax years to see what your earnings would have been to determine whether or not you're subject to the IRMA. That's the only other reason why I can think you may want to adjust your Social Security benefit within the system. But even then, I don't know if you can actually go into Social Security and change it there. You actually have to submit a form in order to do that if you are subject to IRMA. And if you're subject to IRMA, you would have had, if you're single, you would have had to have earned over 106, or if you're married, you would have had to have earned over $212,000. So I don't know if that's your situation, but that's the only other time where I know that your Social Security earnings impacts your, you would have to go in and put in a zero or report some sort of zero earnings.
Does that help, Jerry?
Right. It certainly does. Thank you so much.
Hey, you're
Absolutely.
welcome.
That's
You're
what we do.
welcome. Have a great Labor Day weekend.
You as well.
Thank you.
All right, we're just starting off on a good note here with a question. I love it. If there are any other people out there with questions having anything to do with their personal finances, Social Security is one of them. Medicare is another one. We get a lot of those questions, investment allocations, anything having to do with your personal finances. Feel free to jump in line because the lines are wide open. Josh, you want to give out those magic numbers for them again?
Yeah, those numbers to call are 844-580-9326, 844-580-WDBO.
Super.
There we
Move
go.
the topic of the
Yeah,
day.
we might as well jump into the topic of the day. Well, listen, the topic of the day is planning issues to consider before year end. Now, Aaron, if I look at my calendar, it's still August. Why are we talking about year end?
That's right.
Well, Labor Day is the kind of unofficial end to summer. I think we've got officially a few more weeks, but for a lot of folks, this is where we turn the corner. We head into the fall. We start thinking about shorter days, holidays, and, all that's to come. And this last quarter of the year tends to go fast.
Speaking of that, my wife told me that she went into a Home Goods in Winter Park and walked in and they were playing Jingle Bells. So for whatever that's worth,
Well, there you
Home
go.
Goods is
Tis the
planning for
season.
Christmas
Yeah.
as well, even though it's 5 months away or so.
Getting you in the spirit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I saw stuff in Costco. I think a month ago they had some stuff out. So, but yeah, there you go. Jingle bells. That's
Jingle
crazy.
bells.
So, nonetheless, but hey, so why would we talk about this now? Well, for us planner types, we like to think ahead, and there are some things I would say, things in your financial situation, whether you are currently a laborer or you were formerly a laborer. So, in other words, if you're working or if you're retired, there are things that apply to you that have to be done on an annual basis. And a lot of that tends to be tax related, but not always. It could be retirement account contributions and those kinds of things. So now is a good time to check in around that to see if, hey, am I on track? Am I ahead, behind? And you still have time to make adjustments. So that's why I thought, hey, now might be a good time as we turn the corner into the fall. Let's think about those planning items that we should be aware of as it relates to kind of annual limits. So the first thing, Aaron, is now this is in taxable investment accounts. So
Yeah.
this is not IRAs, not 401ks, taxable. So this would be an account in your name or you're in a spouse or maybe a trust name.
That you get a 1099 for every year that you have to pay taxes on. That's what
That's
you mean by
exactly
taxable
right.
investment
That's
account.
exactly
Got
right.
it.
So those who have them know what those are. Do you have any losses in that account that you could sell those investments that have a loss and capture that for tax purposes? You can't go buy the same investment. You could buy another one and still be invested. But there may not be a whole lot of losses out there right now because the markets have been, on an upward trend
That's
here
right.
for the last few years, we can say at this point. But there's some crummy investments out there always. And certainly as it relates to individual stocks and those kinds of things, if you have losses, you may want to consider, do I harvest this loss and put that in the bank against capital gains for tax purposes?
Got it.
So that's one. Another one in the same type of account, a taxable investment account, would be, and this is a little more esoteric, Aaron, but
Yeah.
not for those who experience it. And that is the old school mutual funds that distribute high levels of capital gains.
Yep.
And how do you know that? Well, it takes a little digging, but I was reflecting on this. I think last year the highest I saw was about 23% of the value of the fund. So you think about that. If you have $100,000 in a fund, 23% is a pretty big amount
That's a big
that you have to
capital
pay
gain.
tax on.
Yep.
So what do you do? Well, one of the things you could consider doing, again, you got to look at your situation, but you could sell that, buy an exchange traded fund that's much more income tax efficient.
Right.
So sometimes people can't do that because they have a big embedded gain and they don't want to pay all the capital gains tax. So again, every situation is different, but it's something to be aware of.
And those capital gains, for the most part, start to get announced to the October, November timeframe is when they start telling the mutual fund holders, or at least us as investment advisors, what the embedded gains are projected to be.
That's
And
right.
So we do that analysis for clients who are in that situation because there are some times where we either inherit mutual funds that have high capital gains, or for some reason we're holding mutual funds within those types of brokerage accounts. And we have those conversations about whether or not we want to hold on to those
Well, that's right.
or
And-
realize a gain.
And there didn't used to be a thing called an exchange traded fund, right?
Right.
I mean, it's a relatively new, they're 25 years old, I think, at this point, but still mainstream, they're relatively new. So there's a lot of folks that have those less tax efficient mutual funds. Now, the next one is a big one. and that is required minimum distributions.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so those come in two flavors, and the most popular are those who were former laborers in most cases, who were age 73 and beyond, who the government says you now have to take a distribution out of your retirement account. And they tell you the percentage. And so every year we go through that drill with lots of clients.
Right.
So now is a great time to check in, particularly for those who like to take a monthly distribution. Sometimes those monthly distributions get set up based on what I had to take last year.
Right.
And then, hey, the markets are up. Your percentage has gone up slightly because you've had one more trip around the sun. And so now maybe you're a little behind as it relates to what you need to take out for this year. So, and then the other flavor, right? We got chocolate and we got vanilla.
Wait, let's go back to RMDs real quick. So
Let's do
people
it.
that are subject to RMDs are those people who have retirement accounts that they've never paid taxes on, right?
That's correct.
So 401ks, traditional IRAs, 403bs, 457 plans, any of those tax-deferred type of retirement accounts, you never pay taxes on it. The government says, we want some of that money. You need to start taking required minimum distributions. But I thought the age was 70 and a half. What happened?
Well, Aaron, geez, it was 70 and a half. And that's, and it still is for a certain thing, but no, it's 73 now. Look, as we all know, the rules keep changing. And that's why we stay busy trying to keep up with all the rules, from Pension Protection Act to Secure Act.
Right.
All the other acts, Secure Act 1.0, 2.0. So there, all those things I just mentioned are hundreds of pages of rules.
And 2.0 actually, I think, is the one that changed it to 75 now for anyone born 1960 or later. So those people get a couple of extra years of not having to take those required minimum
That's right. It's
distributions.
eventually going up to 75, but currently it's 73,
Right.
for many of our listeners who are in that camp, right, who are now required. And as you said, that's the government just saying, look, you have avoided the checkout line. You walked all over the store your whole career. You've avoided the checkout line. It's time to walk through the checkout
There you
line
go.
with a few items in your buggy.
And you got to pay for some of those items as
You
well.
got to pay a little tax, so, or at least expose it to tax, whether you pay tax or not. Many people don't. That's that's a whole other topic. But so that, as I said, is one flavor of required minimum distribution. What's the other one, Aaron?
The other flavor, I don't know. What's the other?
Inherited.
Oh, inherited IRAs.
So those who
Gotcha.
are
Gotcha. Who inherit?
all ages, right? I mean, tend to be
Right.
younger, or you hear about the sandwich generation who have aging parents and raising their kids, who might inherit an IRA from their parents, and then they have to take it out,
Right.
with a few exceptions, but they have to take it out at least as rapidly as mom and dad
And
were.
those rules have gotten completely twisted by the Secure Act. And I hear some bumper music, so maybe we can spend the rest of the going into the half hours talking about the rules of inherited IRAs, because that's a lot more confusing than it used to be. And those old stretch rules have gone away. So anyone who's inherited an IRA or think they're going to inherit an IRA in the near future, stay tuned for after the break, because we got some great information coming to
There
you
you go.
about how to handle those required minimum distributions from those inherited IRAs coming up.
All right, Josh, take it away, bud.
If you want to join the conversation, call in at 844-580-9326. We've got open lines. Feel free to send in your question using the open mic feature in the WDBO app. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow
Today.
with the Certified Financial Group.
Certified financial planners are the local, experienced fiduciaries you can trust. Certified Financial Group are your Central Florida planners. Call us today.
40 years ago, I had a dream of building the best personal financial consulting firm in Central Florida. Now, with 14 certified financial planners acting as fiduciaries, I believe we're there. But don't take my word for it.
As we approach retirement, we have the freedom of choice.
Peace of mind that we now have. That's everything to us.
The people that work here are honest and caring, and I feel like I can go to sleep at night.
So schedule your no-obligation visit today at financialgroup.com, or we're planning tomorrow, today. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries, have been providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Our fiduciary approach of providing retirement planning and investment management for a fee seems to resonate with our clients. But don't take my word for it.
I knew a gentleman that I worked with who had come to Certified Financial Group.
A friend of mine recommended them, and they were totally correct how good they are.
I had heard from somebody else that it was the best one in town.
I've sent several of my teacher friends here.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. You may be new to the area, but we're not. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries and providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Black Monday, the dot-com bust, 9/11, and now 2 wars. We've pretty much seen it all. Acting as fiduciaries, our CFP professionals have been a steady hand guiding our clients to and through their retirement years.
No reason to be worried about anything.
Stay the course. You stay the course, and you get there.
I don't have to worry about it like I know a lot of people look at it every day. I don't have to do that with the team here at Certified Financial Group.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Are you tired of trying to reach your advisor through a call center and being put on hold for 20 minutes? That's why we don't use one, and our clients seem to appreciate the personal touch.
They always answer my questions and really care about what's going on with me.
You can trust what they say, and they do what they say, and it gives you a comfort feeling it's hard to find in the world today.
Waiting for you to call almost. You almost feel like that.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification
Back to On the Money right here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. You can also listen live on the Aaron Bert here. I wanted to start with a little question that I had, actually. So, God bless her heart and soul. Rest in peace to my dad's mom, my grandmother, and my siblings and I will be inheriting some of her retirement money that was left in an IRA. Now, it's very on topic for when we were just talking about the IRAs and whatnot.
Yep.
So, what kind of thing should I expect if I wanted to open an IRA myself, being under 59, or if we wanted to get the money and then take it out? What kind of things do we have to pay attention to?
Yeah, good question, Josh. Let me ask you, and thanks for asking that. When did Grandma pass on?
It was
This year?
about 7 months ago. It was this year, yes.
Okay, so it was this year. So the question, one of the questions, so we were talking before the break about required minimum distributions. So presumably your grandmother, I'm assuming she was over 73. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay, so she would have been subject to what we were talking about before the break. She would have needed to take a required minimum distribution. So if she didn't, that will still need to happen this year. So that's one thing you guys will have to figure out. But then for you and the other beneficiaries, you will open, if you were a named beneficiary, you'll open what's known as an inherited IRA. And that's like in your name, but it's a special type of IRA that receives funds from someone who's passed on, who was subject to these required minimum distribution rules that we're talking about. And you will now, and the other beneficiaries, you can take all the money. So let's be clear, you could take it all now and just, put it in the bank or go spend it or whatever. You'd have to pay tax on whatever that amount was. So let's just say hypothetically it's $10,000. If you take the $10,000 out, you're going to have to report $10,000 more on your tax return. You pay tax on it now. Okay, that's door number one. You could do that.
And the one difference between an inherited IRA and a traditional IRA is if you take the money out of the inherited IRA prior to 59.5, there is no 10% early withdrawal penalty. You just pay ordinary income tax on the amount that you withdraw. So there's a distinction there on inherited IRAs versus regular IRAs.
Yeah, very good point, Aaron. Very good point. So you could take it out, Josh, but what a lot of folks do if they don't need the money and they want it to continue working is they put it in an inherited IRA where it can continue to be invested, continue to grow, but you and the other beneficiaries will have to take out what's known as at least as rapidly as your grandmother was. So there's a calculation there. So there's a certain amount you have to take out each year. Mm-hmm. And then with the caveat being it all has to come out by the end of the 10th year. Okay, so that's, what can sneak up on people, because a lot of times if you're just taking the minimum amount out, you will not get it all out over 10 years. So it's something to be aware of. And that's where a little tax planning to think about, hey, what is my situation? Is my income going to go up in the future? If so, maybe it makes sense to take more now. But that's the planning. And like Aaron said, anything you take out is taxable to you.
Yeah, there's some great strategies around that of how to avoid that for those people that are inheriting those types of accounts, and we can talk about that when we get back from the next break.
There you
go.
Thank
you so much for that information. If you want to call in, we've got lines open for you. Be the first in line to get your questions answered, like me, by the Certified Financial Planners. Today we have Chris and Aaron filling in. So that number to call is 844-580-9326. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow today with the Certified Financial Group.
Fiduciary approach of providing retirement planning and investment management for a fee seems to resonate with our clients. But don't take my word for it.
I knew a gentleman that I worked with who had come to Certified Financial Group.
A friend of mine recommended them, and they were totally correct how good they are.
I had heard from somebody else that it was the best one in town.
I've sent several of my teacher friends here.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. You may be new to the area, but we're not. For more than 40 years, our certified financial planner professionals, acting as fiduciaries, have been providing retirement planning and asset management for a fee to countless families across Central Florida.
We've been with Certified since 1992.
We're now into the third or fourth generation of clients that have come to CFG and the team here to do a great job.
It's been so long since I've been doing this that I just don't even worry about anything anymore.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Black Monday, the dot-com bust, 9/11, and now 2 wars. We've pretty much seen it all. Acting as fiduciaries, our CFP professionals have been a steady hand guiding our clients to and through their retirement years.
No reason to be worried about anything.
Stay the course. You stay the course, and you get there.
I don't have to worry about it like I know a lot of people look at it every day. I don't have to do that with the team here at Certified Financial Group.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today. Are you tired of trying to reach your advisor through a call center and being put on hold for 20 minutes? That's why we don't use one, and our clients seem to appreciate the personal touch.
They always answer my questions and really care about what's going on with me.
You can trust what they say, and they do what they say, and it gives you a comfort feeling it's hard to find in the world today.
You know, waiting for you to call almost. You almost feel like that.
We're Certified Financial Group, where we're planning tomorrow, today.
As an investor, you want peace of mind. You need to know that your advisor is not only thoroughly competent, but also a fiduciary. In other words, he or she is acting at all times in your best interests. You need to trust your advisor, regardless of how much money you have to invest or what part of the world you're in. It might not be your money you're entrusting the advisor with. Perhaps you're a board member of a charity or foundation whose future depends on prudent investment. Or perhaps you have the responsibility of making investment decisions on behalf of other people. As the trustee of a retirement plan, the decisions you make can have a direct impact on the lives of your employees. Whatever type of investor you are, the solution is to use an advisor certified by the Center for Fiduciary Excellence. A CFEX certified advisory firm demonstrates its adherence to a global fiduciary standard of excellence, a defined standard with specific criteria covering 21 best practices. The documented, repeatable processes and the evidence-based decision-making that CFEX demands are more likely to generate investment portfolios that match client needs and expectations. And because the firm voluntarily agrees to a rigorous annual audit, investors can rest assured that their advisor continues to work to the highest professional standards. This independent verification is even more critical for trustees and investment committee members of retirement plans who are legally required to conduct regular due diligence on their service providers. Use a CFEX certified firm, and that job has been done already by an expert at no expense to the plan. So why leave anything to chance? Insist on working with investment professionals you can truly.
Welcome back to On the Money right here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. You can also listen live on the WDBO app wherever you are. Today we have Chris Toadvine and Aaron Bert from Certified Financial Group. And if you have questions about your finances, give us a call here at 844-580-9326. That's 844-580-WDBO.
Yeah, so Chris and I are here talking about anything having to do with your personal financial situation. And as we like to say, Monday through Friday, Chris and I and the other, what are we up to, 14 other certified financial planner professionals at the Certified Financial Group. We meet with clients Monday through Friday, giving out financial advice for a fee. And we like to say on Saturday, we are here doing it for you absolutely free. So if you have a question, we just gave out those numbers. So feel free to call. The phone lines are wide open. But one other way that we disseminate information is through our workshops. And we do have a bunch of workshops up and coming and scheduled. They're all available on our website, financialgroup.com. You can go on there and register. I'll just run through them real quick. We did have some questions regarding Social Security earlier, and we do have some workshops regarding Social Security. The next one is Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday, actually.
Wednesday, yeah.
September 3rd in the evening, 6:30 to 8 p.m., hosted by Charles Curry. If you're interested in registering for that, I know there's a couple of seats still available for that workshop. You can do that on our website. The next one is Social Security Planning for Couples. That's hosted by Dave Balakrishnan. September 13th, that's a Saturday after the show in our office, 10 to 11:30, hosted here at our office, our worldwide headquarters in Altamont Springs. And then Charles is also doing another Social Security seminar Wednesday, October 8th. Again, all of those are available on our website, financialgroup.com, financialgroup.com. Now, we're going to go back, if we can, to the topic. And Chris was talking about some house cleaning things that you need to do or be thinking about coming up here on your end. We were talking about Josh, the host's situation regarding his required minimum distributions from his inherited IRA that he's getting coming up. So if you missed that piece, we were talking about the need for beneficiaries who inherit money from a non-spouse to have to take money out of their retirement accounts that they inherited over a 10-year period. And then there were some strategies that we wanted to talk about ways to defer those taxes as you have to pull that money out. And really all I wanted to say regarding that is we have had clients come in who've inherited significant amounts of money. Say you inherit, $100,000 from a parent, and now you're faced with the requirement to be pulling money out of that account every year and include that in your taxable income. And a lot of people say, well, geez, $10,000 worth of income, what do I do with that? I don't really want to pay more taxes. How do I handle that? And there's different ways to handle it. First of all, the first option, obviously, is you take the money and you spend it, right? That's always an option.
That's a fun option.
You're going to pay taxes on it, right? The second option is for those people who are not currently maximizing retirement contributions to their own retirement plans, is to take the money out. You got to take 10 grand, we'll say roughly, and you can withhold more money from your paycheck and funnel $10,000 from your paycheck into your retirement plan at work. Take the $10,000 out of that inherited IRA and use that to replace the money that you would have ultimately been getting through your paycheck. Really,
I like that, Aaron.
Really not impacting your tax situation. You're funneling money from an inherited IRA into a traditional 401k. Unfortunately, we get the question, and you probably get this question too, can I just write a check to my 401k?
And you cannot do that. Yeah. But look, I love that idea. I love that strategy because it's really tax neutral if you implement it. But the challenge, if someone tries to do that today, they may have a hard time getting that additional $10,000 into their 401k by year end. So this is exactly why we're having this conversation today. But certainly for following years, if they start that early on, then hey, maybe you take your $10,000 out of the inherited IRA, and then each month, like you say, you contribute more to your 401k at work.
That's exactly right.
It's tax neutral, and everybody wins.
That's exactly right.
Except the IRS, which is what we like.
And our goal is always to try to minimize taxes and maximize savings during that accumulation stage. So, Josh, that could be in your situation. If you're inheriting some money from your grandma, like you said, you could be pulling that money out of that inherited IRA over that 10-year period and maximize the contributions, or put the money that you would be pulling out and putting that into your 401k over there at the Cox Media Group. So that's kind of another strategy to help minimize those taxes. The other thing is, doing some longer-term planning. If your goal is you're getting closer to retirement for yourself, there may be the opportunity, you don't take as much money out in the first 4 or 5 years as you're approaching retirement, and then you could be pulling more out on the back end. So there is some planning and strategies that go into this, depending on how much you inherit, what your particular situation is, when you plan to retire, so on and so forth. This is the type of planning that Chris and I and the other 14 certified financial planners here at the Certified Financial Group do day in and day out when we meet with clients, is trying to figure out ways to put more money in your pocket, less money in the government's pocket, and be smart to keep you out of trouble with the IRS and
well, that's exactly right, Aaron. And just take advantage of what's available to you.
Exactly.
And a lot of times people don't know, because you mentioned earlier, about all the different rule changes we've had, and as it relates to required minimum distribution age, but lots of other different rules that have changed. And so it's tough to keep up with, when you're working on your day job and taking care of a family or whatever, and, busy doing your thing. And that's what we do, all day, every day. So we help people, think about these things that maybe they didn't before, that's going to keep more money in their pocket, like you say, less in the IRS's coffers, and everybody wins. So that's really the goal.
Do we have more topics or more?
We do. No, we got plenty more to talk about. So another thing to consider now as we think about, what things do we need to get done this year before the end of the year would be, hey, do you have capital loss carryovers on your tax return from prior years where, like we said, the market's been up, maybe you should realize some gains to take advantage of the loss carryovers if you need to rebalance your portfolio or something.
What is a loss carry forward?
Good question. I'm glad you asked it there. A loss carry forward is when someone has an investment that not in a 401k or IRA, but an investment outside of those retirement accounts that goes down in value and you sell it and you lock in that loss on paper and you put it in the bank, and that capital loss can be used in future years against capital gains. So a loss carryover is just it's an investment you've owned in the past, which has gone down in value. You sell it at a loss. And if you don't have gains to offset that loss in that year, the rest of that loss doesn't get lost, if you're following all the losses here, but it goes in a bank called a capital loss carry forward. And you can then use that in future years against capital gains you have down the road. So that's something we look at. We get copies of clients' tax returns, particularly as they're, just coming on board with us. We don't know their history. And we look to see, hey, do they have loss carryovers so we can take advantage of that perhaps in rebalancing their portfolio.
And the loss carry forward also, if you do have that, if you don't use up all of your capital losses in 1 year, that you can actually take $3,000 off of your income, right? And you can do that going forward until that carry forward's used up either through capital gains or just carrying forward that loss every year. If you're wondering whether or not you have one, because a lot of people don't actually know this, it's on your tax return. So look at your tax return. I just Googled it. It says line 7 on your 1040 is where you would find that. And if there's a negative 3,000 there, chances are that you have a loss carry forward that you can use in subsequent years to help offset future capital gains.
Yeah, that's right. If there's a negative, and you also go to Schedule D, right, which is where that gets detailed out, and you look at the bottom, and there's a line. I don't know what number the line is, but it will tell you, do I have a loss carry forward? So that's another thing. Look, while we have time, here we are headed into September to be aware of. Now, some other things to consider is IRMA. We talked about that. So this is where calculating what is my income looking like year to date and how much do I anticipate having this year. And if you mentioned IRMA, Aaron, which is the income-related Medicare adjustment amount. So that's basically, in English, a surcharge for people who are on Medicare and have too much income. Okay, or I say too much in the eyes of the government, so that the more income you have, the higher your Medicare premium is. And so if we can avoid that, sometimes we can't, but if you can avoid it, you want to plan to do that. So this is where, as Aaron was saying, like with an inherited IRA, for those folks who are on Medicare with an inherited IRA, hey, maybe that's another consideration as you estimate your income this year. How much am I going to have? Because I don't want to go into that IRMA bucket. And I think you said earlier, Aaron, that it's about 106,000.
Right. If you're single, and 212 if you're married. So if your income's over those amounts, you are going to get impacted by what they call IRMA, which raises your Medicare premium. Could be as much as $70, $80 per month on the Part B, and then the Part D also goes up about $13, $14 a month. So if you're married, that's just double those numbers, because it's going to impact both you and your spouse.
And that's just the first step on the ladder, right?
Right.
That ladder, as income goes up, there are more steps
from there.
That's right.
I will note on that also, though, is they do look back 2 years. So they're looking back. So if you're impacted IRMA 2025, they're looking at your 2023 tax return, because that's the most recent one that they have. If for some reason 2023 was an odd year, or maybe you retired in 2023, and 2024 was not the same, and 2025 is not anticipated to be the same, you can submit what they call an IRMA waiver. And that form is the SSA 44 is the name of the form. It's a request for reduction in IRMA. You actually file that with the Social Security office, and they will reduce your Medicare premiums right? If you're subject to IRMA based off of what your income is projected to be for 2025. So that's the SSA 44. We've had a lot of clients have success with that form of getting rid of that IRMA reduction if it's warranted because 2 years ago was an off tax year for one reason or another, or you retired, or some people, sell property or sold a house or some reason why your income was a lot higher 2 years ago.
One-time event.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So IRMA's a big one. But in order to know if you're going to be subjected to IRMA, you have to estimate what your income's going to be. And oftentimes our retired clients, their maybe pension, Social Security, those are predictable, but then sometimes the investment income, we can estimate it, but it's not as predictable. So, that's where it pays attention. It's wise to pay attention to knowing what your income's going to be. So another thing to be aware of as we head towards the round third base into the fourth quarter of the year would be that capital gains for people in the 10 and 12% bracket are what rate, Aaron?
Zero.
Say that again? Zero. Wow. So in other words, no capital gains tax. If you're in the 10 or 12% bracket, you don't pay capital gains tax. So that's something also to be aware of and to plan towards. And hey, maybe there's an opportunity, again, rebalance your portfolio, realize a little bit of gain and not pay tax and reset your cost basis. So that's something else there.
We got to talk about Roth conversions.
Roth convert, that's on the list as well, but
Okay.
let's go ahead and jump to it. Tell us what that is, Aaron.
So a Roth conversion is when you take money out of your traditional IRA, 401k, 403b. Actually, you can only convert it you can do it out of 401ks now. You can do in-plan conversions, but it's the idea of taking money out of your IRA or that pre-tax account, realizing it as income and converting it into a Roth account. Now, why would you do that? You would do that if you were in a low tax year. So if you're in one of those years in which your income is projected to be lower than, future years, it may make sense to pull money out of that, realize zero or some minimal tax number in order to decrease your balance for when the required minimum distributions ultimately hit you. So what we see is now that they've pushed that age out to 73, we have some clients that retire as early as, we'll just say 65. Right? They go on Medicare, they're doing their thing. Maybe they're living off their investments and some cash. They're letting their IRA go until 73 or 75, and they haven't started Social Security yet. There's a window there where they basically have very little income, and there's the opportunity to be pulling money out at the 10, 12, 22% tax bracket, maybe pulling that out of their IRA, converting that over to Roth, and building up some tax-free money for the future. So it's a great planning strategy in those years and something to be looking at year end when you know where your income picture is kind of coming more into focus.
That's right. Great strategy. I hear some bumper music, but that is a great strategy, Aaron, and we're doing a lot of that. And it's worth noting that Roth IRAs don't have to take required minimum distribution. So that's another reason why people like to get money in that bucket.
That's exactly right.
So, all right, Josh, take it away, my friend.
Thank you so much, Chris and Aaron. If you want to join the conversation, we've got one more segment coming up. Call in at 844-580-9326 or leave an open mic on the WDBO app. You're listening to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow
Today
with the Certified Financial Group.
This hour was paid for by the host and does not reflect the
The three big things you need to know. Powered by Hard Rock Bet.
3. This Labor Day weekend, gas prices are expected to be the lowest since 2020. According to Gas Buddy, drivers should see prices averaging around $3.15 a gallon. 2.
What is a fiduciary? When it comes to investing, a fiduciary is legally required to act in your best interest. For 40 years, planners at Certified Financial Group have been guiding our local clients toward financial peace of mind. The rest of the world is still catching up, but our team of certified financial planners are the local, experienced fiduciaries you
On the money right here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. You can also listen live on the WDBO app wherever you are. Today, we're back in the last segment with Chris and Aaron, but we have an open mic.
Let's hit it.
Regarding the IRMA surcharges, my question is there a cap on how high the IRMA surcharge will go?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely a cap, but it's pretty high.
It's pretty high. It's $443.
So
plus 85 for Part D.
Yeah.
That's at 750,000 of income for a married couple, or 500,000 for a single person. So yeah, I mean it's that's in addition to the base premium, which is what, about $185 a month, I think, for
Right.
Medicare. So yeah, I mean if you're at the highest level, so it's like 185 plus 445, and
617.
yeah. You got, is that with the
That's
Medicare?
the
D?
total. No, that's the total Medicare Part B premium.
Okay.
If your income is over $750,000 as a married couple, your Medicare Part B premium goes up to $617,000, and your Part D premium goes up to $8,580, and that's per person.
Yeah.
So you could be paying, $1,200 a month in Medicare Part B premiums as a married couple if your income's over $750,000. Now, granted, your income's over $750,000, but you may have other expenses, so on and so forth. You're just paying a lot more in Medicare.
more.
And it's basically their means testing Medicare. So they're saying
That's
you're
right.
making more money, you can afford to pay more in premiums, and that's kind of how that works. But that's as high as it goes under current law, is up to $750,000 of income. Get you up to $617.
And for those who have had to go out and buy an individual policy in the marketplace, they know that's probably still not a bad deal.
No, it's not
Right?
terrible.
So, I mean,
But it's a surprise to a lot of people. A lot of people don't realize, if they haven't planned for it, they're doing back of the envelope planning, and they're saying we're getting this in Social Security, and our RMD is going to be this amount, and our Medicare is this amount. And then all of a sudden, their Medicare premium is a lot higher than they thought because their income's higher than they thought, and they didn't figure out that they're going to have some Medicare surcharges. That's part of the planning that Chris and I and the other 14 certified financial planners do. We try to identify those pitfalls, those potholes, try to smooth them out, and make sure that you are fully informed as you head into retirement and know what to plan for when we do retirement planning for individuals. So
that's exactly right. Pitfalls, potholes, and opportunities as well, right?
That's
So
right. That's exactly right. If you're interested in meeting with Chris or I or any of the other financial planners, the best way to do that is really to go to our website, financialgroup.com. There's tons of information out there. Our seminars are out there, so our upcoming workshops, if you're interested, we got a couple about Social Security coming up. You can get links to our old On the Money podcast shows if you're interested in seeing those as well. And you can also schedule a complimentary consultation with any of us, or you can call our office Monday through Friday. Speak to Ashley over in our office, and she will set you up with somebody. She'll match you up with who she thinks is appropriate. The number of our office, 407-869-9800.
There you go. Good job, Aaron.
Yeah, good job, Chris.
Enjoy
Happy
the
Labor Day.
your Labor Day weekend.
Thank you.
Josh, enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Hopefully you're not laboring all weekend.
All right. And enjoy football, people.
There you
go
go.
watch Lee
Go
Corso on game
right.
day.
That's right.
Last show.
That's it. Yeah.
Watch that football. Enjoy your Labor Day weekend. And if a question popped into your head, fear not. Leave an open mic in the WDBO app. We'll get to it next time. We'll have more from the very best certified financial planners like Aaron and Chris next Saturday. Every Saturday, you just listen to On the Money, where we're planning tomorrow
Today.
with the Certified Financial Group.